Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm going to be doing a book review on Career Evil by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, in case you guys aren't aware yet. This is the third book in the Cormoran Strike series. The first book is The Cuckoo's Calling. The second book is The Silkworm. I will have links on the screen and down below to my reviews of the two other books in case you guys are interested in seeing those if you haven't read any of the books in the series yet. Also, there won't be any spoilers for the other two books in the series, or for this book for that matter. In this series, you are following a detective named Cormoran Strike. He is a former military personnel and he got his leg amputated after encountering a bomb while out at war. His secretary, or his partner, their relationship is a little bit complicated. His name is Robin, and she started working for Cormoran Strike in the first book of the series. At the very beginning of this story, you enter into their detective office, and Robin is given a package, and she just kind of signs for it, goes inside, and then when she opens it, she finds a severed leg inside the package, which is obviously extremely disturbing. And so the story follows Detective Strike, as well as the police and everyone else involved, as they try to figure out, one, who does this leg belong to, and two, who did this. Strike has a very strong feeling that this has to do with someone from his past, because there was a note attached to the leg, or a card or whatever came with the leg, that had lyrics to a Blue Oyster Cult song, and his mother was basically a groupie and had a Blue Oyster Cult song tattooed onto her body, and so he has a feeling that these things are probably related. I really enjoyed this book, and I really enjoyed this series in general. Personally, I think the mysteries are getting stronger with every book in this series. For the first book, I felt like when the big reveal happened at the end of the book, I had a pretty good indication of who the person was who did it. In the second book, I had a hint, but I wasn't completely sure, and so when the reveal happened, I was nicely surprised. This one, I had no idea what was gonna happen. You're basically following three suspects. That's who Strike has in mind, who committed this crime. It feels like for basically 90% of this book that it could be any of these characters, and you really have no idea which one it's going to end up being. You're following Strike and Robin as they are going around England and trying to put together the pieces, and so you are just only given so much information, and there's even certain points of the book where you're given less information, where you recognize that Strike knows things or has made certain connections that you as the reader may not have, or at least I as a reader definitely did not. I will say that this book gets a little bit confusing though, just because there are three different suspects and it can be a little bit difficult remembering which piece of evidence belongs to which person. There was a point in this book where I was just I really can't remember all of the different things or all the different pieces. I just knew I wasn't going to be solving this case reading this book because there were just so many pieces of evidence. I really could not see any sort of connection, so I was just kind of waiting for it to be spelled out for me. One of the other things that happens in this book is that there's a significant amount of character development that happens between Strike and Robin. I think both of those characters are just absolutely fantastic, and you get a lot more backstory for Robin, which I really, really liked. It was great seeing more of where she came from, her background, things that have happened to her in her past, and her motivations for even working at this detective agency, things like that. But one of the things that I did not like is the fact that this book emphasized just a little bit more about a relationship between Strike and Robin, which is not something that I'm personally rooting for. I actually enjoy seeing them as just partners, people who are working together, people who see each other as intelligent, fun people to hang out with and work with. I'm not really interested in a romantic relationship, but I also think this is partially because I don't think J.K. Rowling writes really convincing romantic relationships. I don't think there's been any point in any of the books that I've ever read from her where I was yes, I wholeheartedly ship these characters. Even in Harry Potter, I felt most of my feelings ended up coming out because of other people on the internet, not because of what was actually written in those books. So I feel as long as the romantic type, relationshipy type stuff stays more in the background than in the foreground, I'll be happy with this series. But I felt even in this book, it took up too much of the actual book itself. I didn't personally want any of that, but I know that different people might feel differently. But I even felt with characters like Matthew, they were kind of underserved and underdeveloped, and they were made sort of just this counterpoint to Strike which didn't feel very realistic. I don't know, I just am very unhappy with the way that the Robin Matthew stuff was handled in this book. If you read the book, you understand. And I kind of wish that that stuff would just get like resolved or get put in more in the background, and that there would be more emphasis on the relationship of Strike and Robin as friends and partners. But otherwise, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, but my rating is probably more like a 3.5, which is the same rating I gave The Silkworm. So yeah, if you're someone who just enjoys straight up mystery books, then this is definitely a series worth picking up. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts on Career of Evil. If you've read this book or any of the other books in this series, feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know what you guys thought of them. Or if you have any questions about this book or this series, feel free to leave that down in the comment section as well. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.